Okay, so now that we have now that we know, like, how in Pega, how can we create a new application? Then after that, like after creating a new application, how can we design a case type? Then after designing the case type, how can we, after that, what are the, I mean, what are the fields are related to, and what UI that we have to display for all the things, like, we know that we have to create properties, sections, flow action, and flow. So like that. So once we have done everything, so then if we run the case, then our UI will look like this. And then also we have seen that, like, how can we make fields as mandatory, so that if we fields are mandatory, then we cannot allow user to continue unless and until the user enters all the mandatory fields. Like, for example, for a sample basis, we have just make like first name, date of birth, and phone number as mandatory. So now user will not be able to continue unless and until he'll enter all these details, like that. Okay, so and then of course we have seen that inheritance too, like so how that Pega finds the rules with the help of inheritance. Like for example, I mean, if any rule is reusable, so we can just create it in the higher layer, so that we don't have to create those rules again and again. For example, let's say these properties we have created in the higher layer. So now in the account opening also, if we have to create a section, so we don't have to create this date of birth, email address, first name, last name, phone number, these properties, because it's already present in the higher layer and it's already there in that inheritance path in that particular class. Okay, so like that. And then after that, basically, like, so if you see that, like, whatever the rules that we create, for example, let's say, I have to create one more property here. So now we know that, okay, there are rules which we divide into, which Pega is divided into different categories. For example, let's say data model category, properties comes under data model category, and the flow actions comes under process category. Then, in the certain category, the classes comes in, and the user interface category, we have a section. Okay, so now in the similar way, if I do right click, create, and let's say if I'll try to create a new property, like that. Okay, so now so here you can see that, I mean, we like the wherever, whatever the forms, oh sorry, whatever the rules that you create. For example, if you try to create a property, or let's say if I'll try to create a section, and then if I, let's say, try to create a flow action. Okay, so like that. So you can see that, like, the Pega will show one screen like this, so the create form screen, where that you have to enter the rule name, like what rule name, or what basically the purpose of what that you're creating this rule. And then after that, the Pega will ask you, like, okay, which class basically that you want to create this rule. So if you want, you can edit it here as well. So let's say I don't want to create it in loan process class, I want to create it in the last class, like the BOE class. So in that also, like, you can do that. And then the next thing which you see here is the rule set. Again, the rule set is very mandatory stuff. So in this rule sets, basically the Pega will ask you, okay, which rule set that you want to create that rule. Okay. So now, for example, let's say if I'll open any property, let's say. Okay, so now you can see that this property approve widget present inside this class BOA-leave like leave one dash work dash leave process. This is a class name, and the rule set name is this loan application 1:01:01:01 or 0100101, like that. Okay, so this is what the rule sets. So this rule sets basically is useful when we do the deployment, basically. So now, like, because this is like in the real time, we so in real time, I mean, we have different environments, right? Dev environment, then UAT, or QA, or then SIT, and then the production environment. So normally, as a how we deploy that, like, with the help of this rule set. So the rule set basically it's kind of a bucket, right? I mean, where you store all the items, and then you just take or like in a bag, basically, like, you just put all your clothes and everything, or all your items into that bag, and just take that bag, from one place to another place, like that. So in the similar way, this is what the rule set does. So now if you see here, so now if I'll open this rule set, So this is a rule set. So now you can see here inside this rule set, and in each rule set, we have a version O1, O1, O1. And inside this rule set version, we have 64 rules. Now, if I'll open this one, if you click on the 64 rules, just that one, so you can see here, these many rules are present inside those rule set version. So in that, like, most of the rules, Pega will create that, when you create the application. So Pega creates few of the rules, and few of the rules we have created. For example, the sections like loan details, loan, then the personal details and all those things. So like that. So this O1, 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 how we divide it into divided is like so this one, like, so this O1, uh, O1, like, like that. O1 dash O1 dash O1. So this is how the rule set version looks like. So this one, this version is called as major. Okay, and then uh, and then the second one is called as minor, and then the third one is called as patch. So this is how basically, like, it's divided, like, major, minor, patch, like, this O1, O1, O1. So we have one rule set, like, one rule set will be there like this. Okay, and then for this rule set, we have versions, like, we create versions like O1 dash O1 dash O1, and then like, now that, this O1, first one is called as a major, second one is called as a minor, and third one is called as a patch. So now what happens is, let's say now if we have to do the deployments, then what we do is we just lock this rule set version. I mean, here you can see that this version will lock it, and then we create another version for, let's say we are doing sprint development, then we can just say that, okay, so this is what our sprint one. Okay, then we can just change the description, and then once our sprint is done, or like, whatever your release is done, so so in that case, what we do is we just lock and save. Okay, just we lock this rule set version, and then we create a new rule set version like this. You can see here we create a new rule set version as like O1, O1, O2 like that. And if you want, then if you want to skip few rules and version, that also you can do that. Let's say I want to create 5, O1, O1, O5, so that few of the releases, like, few version like O2, O2, like O2, O3, O4, like I just want to save it for, let's say, a QA release, like, if there is bugs, fixes, and all those things. So that is also is possible. So that is what it's versions and rule sets and versions. So now there are two things. One, that you have to choose a class, in which class basically that, you have to create a create your rules. That depends how your, I mean, class depends basically for the reusability, like, I mean, whether their rule is reusable or not, and all the stuff that you created in the proper class. And then you choose a proper rule sets too, like, because this is what a kind of a bucket, like, whatever the rules that you're creating it, you're putting it inside the rule set version. So that is something. So that's the reason, like, whenever you create a new rule, so for example, it could be a section, full action, flow, case type, or anything. The Pega will ask you two things. One, in which class that you want to create that rule, and what is the rule set version. So now it's only one, because we have only one rule set version. And then we have a different types of rule sets. So now you can see here a loan application INT. So we have INT, right? We have some integrations, API related stuff. So if you want to develop some API, like, for example, you want to connect Pega application to another application and all these things. So in that case, you can select this rule set, INT one, like that. So for now, like, we'll work on this only. So, and then like this one, and then let's say that the release is done and all these things. So what we do is, like, next version, we create it as O1, O1, O2 like that. And then this goes till, like, till it reaches to O1 dash 99. Okay, dash 99. So now once the patch version reaches to 99, then what we do is the next version will be O1 dash O2, but then we increase the minor version, like, O1, like this. So this is how the next version will be, like, so now first we increase the patch version till it reaches to 99, and then once it reaches to 99, then we don't exceed to 100, 101, and all these things. We go only till 99, and then once that we reaches to 99, then we create another version, which is, and we just increase the minor version. So now again, this will go like this, O1 dash O2 dash O2, And then it will again like go till O1-99-99. So this will go like this. So once it reaches both my major and minor, sorry, a patch and minor, both reaches to 99, then we increase a patch, sorry, major version, like, O2-O1-O1, like this. So this is how, like, we just increase our rule sets versions, like, from O1, O1, O1. So now this is our initial release, initial development. So now, of course, we do the development in O1, 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 like, where that major is also O1, minor is also O1, and patch is also O1. And then after this release, like, and then as a best practice, what we do is, like, whenever you create a new rule sets, versions, basically. So we don't create a new, I mean, of course, we can create a new rule set, but mostly, like, we create a versions, different versions. So now we give a proper description, so that after 3 or 4 months, if you want to see that, okay, so this version, like, I've done it for which trend or which release and all these things. So that basically, like, you can be able to get that. So as a best practice, just put the description for that version. And let's say next version also you're creating, let's just put the description, like, this is for, let's say, if there is a bug fix that you have done. So let's say, like, bug 001, something like that, so that, I'll get to know that in future, and you or your team members can get to know that, okay, this version is for, bugs fixes, or, bug 001 and all these things, or issues or whatever, like that, or defect. So, like, in that, so this is what, is like rule sets, yeah, rule sets and classes, basically. This is how you divide. So that is the reason. So, like, whenever you create, so now from now onwards, like, whenever we will be creating new rule, so you'll see two things. Like, Pega will ask us, right, in which class and which rule set and version. So this is called as a rule set, and this is a version, O1, 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 like that. And then how we divide those versions? We divide those versions into three ways, like, the first one is called as a major, and second one is a minor, and third one is called as a patch. Okay, so yeah, so any questions on this or any confusion?
Pankaj, whether we can edit while creating any type of, for example, while creating property or any section or anything, right? Like there you can go and change your rule set. Whether we can create it on the go, or like we have some other screen we should do there only.
Whenever you create an application, then the Pega itself create two rule sets for you, like this. Then if you want, like, let's say your lead has decided, okay, like, we need few more rule sets, like, which the Pega didn't create, then you can create that too. So, like, what you have to do is you can just go to the records, okay, and then, or else, like, instead of not going to records, then you can go to that any sysadmin category. So you just drag it and then say go to sysadmin. So in the sysadmin category, basically you can find rule sets. So somewhere here you see that. Okay, so let me just go here and then. Okay, so my screen is getting okay. So like, so let's say from here itself. So now from here itself, like, if you just open it up and then you can just say create, then, from here you can just create a new rule set. For example, let's say you want to create another rule set for, a few other features or something, or like that. Then you can create that too. Let's say sample, I'm just creating it, and then O1, 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 and then just say create. That is a new rule set. This new rule set has been created, and of course the first version has been also created. And but after this, like, after this, like, another change that we have to do is, like, so we have to go to this application rule. So just go here, like, from the application, just open it up, and then here you have to specify that rule set, basically, like, yeah, just enter. So here that you can see that application rule set. So that means these are the 4 rule sets basically the Pega has itself created. Like, for example, if anything related to organization level, so you have to just save that rule inside this rule sets. And INT means anything related to APIs, so like that. So now then after this, you can just add it, and then whatever the rule set that you have created just now, sample and all this stuff. So you can just, add it over here. That's it. So these are the two things basically, you have to do that. So now I didn't save it, because I don't want to create unnecessary rule sets now. So, but this is the way basically you can create a new rule set. But mostly
Okay.
the lead will decide basically if it's needed, not needed, and all the stuff. Yes, because we haven't created a separate application, right? I mean, I've just added
Okay.
the same application only. I've added this a case type account opening. So whatever we do it for account opening, like it will directly we have to choose any one of these any one of these routes. But in the real time, like what we do is if it's account opening and all these things, we have a separate application for all these things. Like leave application will have a separate application, but the only one thing will remain the same is this BOA. That's it. These two rule sets will remain the same, but these upper one, like this application specific rule set, could be different there. That's it.
Okay.
So here I've just added
Okay.
this sample case type so that I just wanted to show you inheritance path or the reusability path. And that is the reason. This BOE means let's say for example, I have created under this BOE and this BOE root sets. So now what will happen is, let's say I've created it as a sample one. Okay, now let's say here like that. So now what will happen is, now this flow action basically you can use it anywhere. Anywhere means for example, let's say for example I have 4 applications. Okay, one is let's say loan application, then we have account opening application, then we have the leave application, then we have let's say transport application where the employee can avail for a transport and all these things. 4 applications. So now for 4 of these, we'll have a separate application and all those things. But for 4 of these, one, if there will be few things, a few rules basically which will be similar, right? For example, let's say the Bank of America logo will remain the same, or else like few properties like name, first name, last name will remain the same. For example, first name, last name. So for every process, like for example, let's say I'm applying for a leave, then I have to enter my first name, last name. I have to apply for a transport, I have to enter first name, last name, like that. So for all these 4 basically properties, so all these 2 properties, let's say, that will save it on the topmost layer, which is the bank organization layer, BOA. And that, or for example, it's flow action. If we have done that, if we saved it, so now what will happen is, whatever be the application, so we don't have to create this flow action again and again. For example, this flow action is for canceling the process. Canceling the process, let's say I am applying for a loan and then I want to cancel this process because so suddenly I realize, oh, I don't need a loan. Our account opening, every process, each and this, we need a flow action which will cancel the process. So that reusable process, we can configure it in the higher layer, so that we don't have to configure again. The section should also be present inside the BOE layer. For example, now if I try to, let's say, try to create, let's say, okay, again a sample, and then if I'll try to create this in a new class, and let's say BOA dash loan process class. Okay, right now I'm saving it. Then the Pega will throw the error saying that no, I mean, you can't do that. Why? Because
Okay.
it is present inside the BOA class and the Pega is not able to do that. But say similar way, let's say for example, if there is a flow action present inside this class, okay, but if and the section present inside the higher class, parent class, then you can do that. I mean, vice versa, that can happen. Exactly. Yes, it is applicable for any rule, property section, flow action,
Okay.
and flows basically, like that. So any rule which you think can be reused, or which you can think that it can be reused. For example, the logo. Let's say every company, any portal that you log in, we have a portal that this is a Pega logo. So for all
Okay.
these for all these 4 application, one logo will remain the same. So that also we can save it in the organization layer, that rule set. so that if even
Okay.
if I open a transport zone, I should be able to see the Bank of America logo. Of course, the logo will not change, right? I mean, whatever. So yeah, so let's continue. Okay, so now this is what, like, we have it, classes, rule sets, and the different rules that, how we define it, with the help of inheritance. So now inheritance, basically, like, we have two types. One is like, pattern, and the another one is directed. So now Pega, how the Pega is able to find it, like, just now I've shown you the example, right? The Pega, so if the Pega is not able to find the root, then the Pega will immediately throw an error saying that, not able to find the root. So now the first, what happens is now, like, the first is that as soon as, like, or if you run the process, if you run the process like this, then the Pega is able to find the proper rules, right? Or like, if you are, or if you're creating any rule, then also, like, then that has to be present inside the proper hierarchy. So what will happen is, so the first rule, let's say, like now here, like, the Pega, like now that I'm running a process of this class, right, loan process class, and this section is a personal detail section. So the Pega will try to search the section inside this class only, because this is a process of this class, loan process class. So if the Pega is not able to find the section, then the Pega will go to the parent class, like, BOA dash the dash loan application dash work, and then it will go to the next parent class, so that you can see here, inheritance path, if I'll show you. So next class, the Pega will take this class, and then Pega is not able to find that particular section. Then the Pega will see, okay, like, let's go to this class. Then again, the Pega is not able to find a section. Then the Pega will take this path, like, this is the last one, like, that pattern class is the last one, that BOA. Then the Pega is not able to find the section 2. Then the Pega will again come back the main class, like, this loan process class. Then the Pega will take the directed path. The Pega will see, okay, this class has which, like, so this has, like, it's directed from which. Okay, so this here we can see that. So this is the directed class again, like, so mostly we give the directed class as work dash cover dash. So mostly, like, whenever you go in any Pega project, so mostly it will be your this class, basically, like, what we do is we just save that. So now, like, the Pega will go to this class, because the pattern path, the Pega is not able to find the rule. So the first class, and you can see that in the class heritage, we are saying that whenever we are giving order to the Pega, saying that whenever you have to find the rule, and you first find it through the pattern, and then go to the directed one. Okay, so now then the Pega, like, if I'll save it, and now if I'll show this inheritance path, so now you can see that. So now this inheritance has been changed. So now this next class, the Pega will go here, like, after this, the Pega will jump to, Pega will say, okay, what is the directed class for this class? It's work dash cover dash. The Pega will come here, and then work dash cover dash, again, the Pega will try to find, a rule. Again, the Pega, after this, Pega will again take a pattern path, which is work dash cover dash. And then again, like, if you open the work dash cover dash and work dash, okay, like this. And then after this, the Pega will take, like, what is the direct class? Is it that one, or, like, like that? So basically, like, and then it will go to the last class till @base class. So this is the topmost class we have it. The topmost class that we have is the @base class. So basically, this is how the Pega finds the roots, like, with the help of pattern and directed inheritance. So first, the Pega takes a pattern path. Pattern path is very simple. Like, you can see that next class. Like, for example, here the leaf process, in this leaf process is not there, and then here the work is not there, and here the leaf application is not there. That does it simple, like, one step, one step, basically. That is a pattern path. But directed path, it could be, any class that you can give as per your requirement. You can give any class as a directed class for this class, like, for the loan process. So now we have given work dash cover dash. Then the Pega will take this class, and the Pega will try to find the rule. It could be any rule. I mean, I'm just giving example of a section rule, but it could be any rule. And for any rule, basically, Pega try to do the same thing. And then after that, the Pega is not able to find that rule in any one of these 1 to 7 classes. Then the Pega will throw the error, like the error that I have shown you, right? The Pega will say that, I'm not able to find that particular rule in that hierarchy and all that stuff. So like that. So this is what it happens. So this is how the Pega actually try to search the rule in Pega. so with the help of this pattern and directed. And this one is basically like, it's optional, like, you can choose basically like whether you want pattern path or not, like that. And this is mandatory, like, it will always be there. I mean, even if you for the a directed one, you don't have option to choose. Pattern one, you have option. For example, just now I've shown you, right? So for this class, you can just choose whether that, I mean, check box, you can uncheck or check this one, whether to choose whether, you want this pattern one or not, basically. So like that, so this is how your inheritance works basically. So I've also done uploaded a document in that drive, so for how pattern directed works. So maybe, you can just go through that, it will be clear. So if you have any questions, just come to me. So in any questions, by the way, like, it's hard to difficult, hard to understand basically, like, to one session, but yeah. The Pega will see, okay, what is the pattern path for a work dash cover dash? It's actually a work dash class. Then the Pega will take, okay,
Okay.
what is the pattern class, and what is like, next to it, that work dash cover dash. And then Pega will say, okay, it's I mean, till like, it's only take, work dash. Then the Pega again come back to see like, okay, what is the like, the directed path of it. So till it reaches to this at the rate base class, we have, let's say, now that, we have to display, like, so now that we know like, what are the fields that we have to display. For that, we have to what are the fields that we have to display, like, we have to create a properties, right? We have created properties, like, like these properties. But now we have to display, say, in a personal, we have to display the address section also, like, so here the address, let's say, so what we can do is we can, so one, here. Okay, and any rule that you want to delete it. So what you can do is you just click on that, and let's say if this is a rule that, it's no longer needed. So what you can do is, you here on the top of that, you can see that delete. So just click on the delete, and then it will ask you for a reason, basically why that you want to delete it. So just give a proper reason. So it's like, not needed, like that. So create it for some test case and all this, and you can just do that. So just delete that. So it will get removed or delete from that. It will delete it from the system. And again, with the Pega will give you the restore option. For example, let's say by mistake you have deleted it and you want to restore it. Then if you again click on this restore button, the Pega will restore it back. So this is the some options that you have it. So, and here, so now what we can do is like, here we can give two options to the user. One, that we can ask user to enter the address, full address like this, like, then the text area. Then, let's say we create the property as address. Like, like that. Okay. And then I'll submit this. Save the section. So now what will happen is, next time, I'm applying for a loan, then I can enter my address saying that, okay, it's like, I mean, my flat number is this, my registration, I mean, or like, my like, city is this, and the like, India pin code and all these things. Either I can have one option. I mean, one option is like this. Another option is, I can create two properties. One is like, our address is the main property, and then inside that I can create one sub properties. Sub properties means, like, in address what we show, like if we show house number, like, or the user has to enter house number. Then another sub property that we can create is or like, city, let's say street name, and then here is city, then we have country, state. Okay, and then we have landmark. Okay, and then we have, let's say, pin code. So these are the properties, like, so we can create something like this. So, so of course this looks good, right? I mean, we'll have a clear idea where, what user has entered, what house number that user has entered, what street the user has entered, what city, what state. Instead of figuring out from here, so we can easily, like, we can create properties like address, And then we can create sub properties, like sub properties like what properties that we enter it like this. In the similar way, we can have many other details too. For example, let's say we can have one property also as like let's say past loan details. For example, let's say I have already have a loan, but I have to enter the details again. If I have any loan, for example, let's say I'm applying for a home loan, but I already have personal loan on me. So that also details, let's say, like a user can enter. So one property we can have it like this, and then we can have some properties like okay, the loan, what loan type that you have it, and then then what and how much is the amount that you have it, and then how much EMI that you're paying for that amount, and then okay, in which year that you have taken it, year of year of loan, and then in which uh, or like what else that we can have, okay, like that. So okay, so if loan type, amount, EMI, okay, okay, and tenure, let's say, like for how many years that you have taken it up. Okay, so like that. So this is how, like we can divide it. All right, I mean, this looks good. So now we'll see that how. So till now we see that, okay, so if you have to create any single value properties means like it can store only like, for example, like first name. So I cannot enter first name. I mean, the first name will store only one value as a first name only. Like, of course, we'll not enter the last name, middle name, and everything over there, or phone number, and all these things. So it will only contain my first name. That's it. In this, that is why these properties are called as a single value property. That is like it will store only one data, one single data. But whereas these are called like address, like these are called embedded properties. Embedded properties, or some says complex properties, so don't get confused, like like that. So they means the same thing, like that. I again because embedded means like because we this property basically, like I mean, this address basically it will not store like only one data. It's stored like house number, stores city, sorry, street name, city, and all these things. Similar to that, like our this past loan details also stored, like a 10-year of loan, like I mean, when the loan has been taken, what, how much is the EMI, how much is the amount, like and then the loan type, basically what loan that you have taken it, like that. So that is, so now we'll see that how we can design it. So that is the reason, like in the previously, like I have not added the address field, so that because today, like we'll see this to, like how we can design that, and tomorrow session also we'll discuss on this only. Okay, so now again, so now how can we create embedded properties? So we'll just go there. So now this property is not needed. So just, and whenever, like you have anything like in your system, let's say you're developing any code or something like that. So whenever you have, or you feel that if few code is not needed, just remove it off from the system, because that will also improve the performance. So just remove it off, like that. So I'll just save that. Okay, and then okay, so now that we know that properties comes under data model category. So now address. So now we feel that address is also common property. So now let's create an address also on the higher layer, like the parent class. So now in the data model category, just do a right click and then create, and then the property, and then just give a name as address. Okay, or let's say I'll give a temporary address. Okay. So now, okay, the class name is looks good, and the rule set name, rule set is also good, like 010101. This version is for the recent release. So let's imagine that we are doing that. I mean, this sprint one development only. So we'll just keep that sprint one version. So we'll just say create and open. Like that. So now single value properties, like so now if I have to store everything in here, so now I'll just keep this text only. But now I have to create embedded properties, right? So now what you can do is in the property type, just change the property type to. So now these are, I know, single value properties can have date value, date time, decimal, double, and integer, password, text, true, false, encrypted text and all these things. But whereas, like, you have another column which is called as a page, which is actually called as your embedded properties. So in Pega, like, you can create three types of embedded properties: single page, page group, and a page list. So we'll just see that, today and tomorrow, we'll only focus on these types of properties. Like, we'll see the difference between these three, like, when to create and all this stuff. And then if you go there advanced, so you can see some Java related properties, which we hardly use in any project. And I mean, like, I've worked on like 7 to 8 projects, but I have not seen these properties where we have used it, nor my seniors or my anyone like have used these properties any one of their projects. So of course, the Pega has given the option. So will not discuss these Java related properties because we'll not be using it basically. So and Pega, like and Pega, like as a best practice, the Pega always recommend you to use Pega's like some functionality where that you don't code. For example, let's say you're writing Java code inside the Pega, I mean, which you can do with that, and you can write HTML code also. For example, let's say in the section, I mean, you're very expert in JavaScript, HTML, and all those things. So what you can simply do is you can open it up, and you can see the HTML tab, right? So you can go there, and then if you just uncheck this auto-generated HTML, you can write your HTML, code here. But now this is not a best practice basically, like, because whenever Pega says that, no code, I mean, if you're coding it, because Pega has been designed for the user where, or the developers basically, where you don't have to code basically, right? So if you code it, then you're breaking the law of Pega, like, it's breaking the rules of Pega, basically. Those are called guardrails. So in the end of the sessions, like, I mean, during the sessions, I'll also let you know the best practices, which you have to follow, when you are doing any Pega development. So this meeting basically will end anytime soon. So we'll just join it back again. Okay, so till the time I'll just go. So again, I'll just take this one. Okay, I'll just delete this. Okay, so now let's come back to the property now. So now, so okay, so this is the one. So this one, like, you can just try it out, like, by your own. So already we have discussed this date, time, double decimal. So now we will have single page group, and a page list. So now it depends upon your requirement. Now the client will tell you, or the requirement is that, the user can enter only one address, right? I mean, because this is a temporary address, so user will not be able to address, I mean, user is related only one details basically. So in that case, what you can do is you can go with the single page. So just create a single page, click on it, and then the Pega will ask you page definition. So page definition means that, whenever you create any embedded properties, that the Pega will ask you for a data class. Here also we have to create one class basically. Okay, so here you can see that this is work means this is a work class, and something, this is a data, right? I mean, where we have to store these data, right? House number and all these things. For that, basically we'll just create one data class. The Pega will ask you to create one data class. So simply and again, this class pattern basically depends how your current organization has. So now let's say, like, let's say our organization has, let's say, BOA dash data dash, and this will remain the same. And then after that, like, for which property or for what reason, like, you want to create this data class, just here. So this I want to create it for address. So just create this class. Okay, and then create and open. So now this is what this abstract, the Pega will ask you two things. One, that this class type is abstract or a concrete. So now abstract means, like, whether do you want to create instances of these classes or not. For example, let's say this class is just to, like, I don't want to create instances of these classes. This is just to, store these properties like house number, street, and all these things. So I'll just make it as a abstract. But whereas if you want to create instances of these classes, then you have to select concrete. Okay, for example, your this class, loan process class. So what if I have already told you, right? I mean, this Pega is built on Java, and Java is what is the object-oriented programming. So where we have classes and objects or instances basically. So if you just click on this class, so you can see that we have created these many instances. Instances are nothing but like the whatever the cases that we are running, right? So those are all become the instances of this class. So that is the reason if you open this class, so admin and all this stuff. So this is what it's a concrete class. Why? Because we are creating instances or objects of these classes. And then that is what you have to decide whether that this data class we will not be creating any instances. So it will be abstract class. So and this class version we give. So don't confuse between rule set version and the class version. So this is not a rule set version. This is your class version basically, like like that. So and then and then if you try to save this, the Pega will throw an error. Okay, and the error is that description is and usage is missing. So basically, whenever you try to create a class, so here in the history tab, basically like to two things is mandatory. One is a description and a usage. So of course, for for every rule, you will see that two tabs. I mean, this tab, history tab, as a best practice, basically I mean, we just fill this history tab so that we'll get to know like why have you created this section, so that in your team member who wants to use this section, so that he'll just go to the history tab and he can just get to know, okay, like and also like who has created it. So now of course it's showing my name because I have created it. So like that. So now who has updated it, who has created it, so that let's say someone has updated your rule. So simply what you can do is you can just go to the history tab and you can just find it out like who has updated it and when they have updated it. For example, it's here. This section we have created it on February 7th and updated it on February 8th. Like that. So this is how you can just get to know that. And here the description and the usage that you can give them. Of course, for other rules, it's not mandatory to fill this, but for the class rule, it's always a mandatory that you have to fill this description and usage. So I just give some address class. So I'll just save this. Okay, that's it. So now I've saved the class and then I'll save this property too. So like that. So this is how your embedded property looks like for a single page. So again, it's like that. And then I'll just refresh this app explorer. And then if I'll go here and then the properties, and then you can see here single value properties are like this. And whereas it's embedded property, then the Pega has added one arrow here. Right. So now if we click here and if we try to expand that, so nothing is coming because we haven't yet created these properties. So now this property we have created it like let's say temporary address, this property we have created. So now we have to create these properties, right? House number and all this stuff. So this properties will be created under this data class, not under this work class or something like this, because this is what this data class we have stored to store this data. All right. So that is what we have it. So now next what I'll do is I'll just create a new class. So first I'll copy this class and then I'll create a new property, and then the property name is house number. Okay, and but make sure that whenever you're creating a new rule, anything like that, just make sure that you're creating it in a nice right rule set version and right class, because in real time it might can happen that your other team members are working in some other rule set and you are working in some other rule set. So just spend some time to just check like just to see like you're creating in a right class and a right rule set version. Okay, so everything looks good here. So now just create and open it and save it. That's it. And then again I'm creating a new class in this class and all. So it's a street name. Okay, and the street name is a text only. The user will enter the text only. So save it and then create let's say city, state. Again, if you want to give some options like state means and all these things, you can just give that like Karnataka, Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra, and all the stuff. And then after that, like let's say landmark. And the final property which we can add is I'm giving everything as a text, but it depends. Like you can just change it. The last property is as well pin code, and you can see here everything I've created in this data class. So create and open. I'll save it. So now I'll just close all the tabs, and now what I'll do is I'll just refresh this app explorer. Now again, if I'll open that property, You can see here. So now if I try to expand this one, so you can see here like this. So this is how your embedded property looks like. So now these are date of birth, email address, first name, last name, phone number. All these are single value properties. Like, you won't be, you can't able to expand it. But whereas temporary address is your is your embedded property, where you have other, like, sub properties, like in under the temporary pages. This is your main property where you create your select the type as a single page. Why we have selected it? Because the user will enter only one address. It's not in user, like, it's not our, as per the requirement. We have to show a screen where the user has to enter only one address. And then for every embedded property, you have to define a page definition. I mean, page definition is nothing but a data class that we give. And inside this data class, we just specify all these properties, whatever the properties that we want to display, basically. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll just go to our section, the main section. Okay, let's say personal details. Inside the personal details, let's say if you want to show the address. So what we do is we'll just go, I'll just put a layout here, and then I'll just make it to inline grid double, because I want to show two fields in a row. Okay, that's it. And now I'll drag the properties. Similar way, I'm the same way basically. And then I'll just go here, and then now embedded properties, right? So now first I want to show this temporary address, and then dot house number. That's it. So here, like, the embedded properties will refer it like this: temporary address dot house number. Okay, to 21. And then in the similar way, I'll just go here and drag it here, and then same thing, temporary address dot and then whatever, like, depends on your, let's just street name. So it's city, and then so I'm adding these properties again and again, so that it will just be like, you can be able to get it, like, what basically I'm doing it. So it's the temporary, like, page name dot uh, uh city, let's say state, and then finally two properties that will add it. So drag here. Temporary address dot our landmark, and finally the other property is pin code. That's it, pin code. Okay, done. And then this personality details also, I just make it to a line grid double, so that it would be just to increase, like, collapsible screen and all the stuff. Okay, like that. That's it. So now I'll if the user is trying to create a loan process, so just creating, and then now you can see that, like, I can enter these details, and now I can enter, like, address details. Address details are like, my house number, the street name, city, street, and landmark, and pin code, whatever that we can enter it. And in a similar way, if you want to make it mandatory, then you can just select that field as a required and all the stuff. And and like that. So now it would be good, right? I mean, if we give a header, I mean, if some header is there, right? I mean, let's say the user can know, okay, this is the personal details and this is the address details, something like that, some headings basically. So if you want to give that again, I mean, as I said yesterday, that whatever that you have to do it, yeah, you can only do it in the section rule. So just go to the section rule, and then go to this layout, just select this gear icon. So now we know that, okay, what is this layout format does. In a similar way, like, one option that you have is this display header and title. So just select that one, and then you can just give in a title. So now I just give the title as no more details. Okay, personal details, and then you can select that, what type of label, like, I mean, 1 to 6, like, till 6, like, it will be small and all these things, like, it will be visible. Okay, I'll just, okay, submit that. You can just give that header in the similar way for this address also. we'll give the header as temporary address. Okay, temporary address. That's it. I'll save it. The sections are now if I'll try to create the loan process. So and then you can see here that now it's more clear for the user. Okay, this is my personal details, and here I have to enter my address details. Or you can give any title basically, like please enter your address and all these things. So this is how you can just modify your section, and this is what we have created. And for this address, we have created a embedded property and embedded property, and we have selected a single page. Why a single page? Because here the user has to enter only one details, inside the one page. That is it. So like that.